Okay, so somebody in the lab was having issues with a multiple bone chain. He wanted to have stretchy bones on his multi bone chain for his character's body, but he didn't know how to do that. So I'm going to show you how to set that up. So let's go to our front viewport and let's go create systems bones, and I'm going to make 3 bones for this demonstration. Alright, select our bones, go to Animation Bone Tools, and scroll down, and turn on the front fins for the bottom 2 bones. We're going to have some rotation issues that I'm going to show you how to fix once we get our control object set up. So now select all of your bones, reset the stretch, and set the stretch to squash. Alright, go to perspective view. And I just made a control object here. You can just use point helpers, or if you want to make one of these, you can. But so select your first control object and align that to the top bone in position and rotation. And let's make 2 copies. And the first copy we're gonna align to the middle bone in position and rotation. And the bottom bone, or I'm sorry, the bottom control object, we're going to align to the bottom bone. Okay. Now this is a very simple setup to do. So select your first bottom bone, go up to Animation, Constraints, Position Constraint, and constrain that to the bottom control object. Alright. Select the next bone, go Animation, Constraints, Position Constraint, and constrain that to this middle control object. Alright, select your nub bone, go Animation, Constraint, Position Constraint. Constrain that to the top control object. Okay, so we got our position constraints. Now let's do our look at constraints. Animation, select your bottom bone, Animation, Constraints, Look at Constraint, and we want to look at this middle control object. Okay, and you'll see it creates our view line. Select the next bone, go Animation, Constraints, Look at Constraint. And you'll see that it adjusted the rotation, and you're going to have some flipping issues. So as you can see, as I move the middle control object, both the bottom and top bones are kind of flipping out of control. So let's fix that. If you select your bottom bone, go to the motion panel and go under your look at constraint dialog, and if you look at the very bottom, you'll see the source / up node alignment that I was talking about in the last video. And we need to adjust our source axis and our align to up node axis to adjust the rotation flipping the way we want it, so that we can animate without any flipping. So let's just kinda, so I switched the source axis of this to Y, and let's see if we got any. No, that's still flipping. So let's try, go back to Z, let's try flipping the Z. And depending on what plane you made your bones, you might have to adjust until you get the right axes. But for me, because I made these in the front viewport, there we go. Because I made these in the front viewport, they're working on a specific axes from whichever viewport I created them in. And here we flip at 180, but our character will probably never get to that point. So, and that was source axis Z and flipped, and aligned to up node axis Y. So let's mimic that with our top bone, since they share the same the same plane. And there we go. Yep, and this one flips at 180 as well, but our character will most likely not bend down this far. And if they do, then you might have to adjust your bone system to make so that this is the front of the character. This would be the front of the character bending forward and backward, and then this axis would be side to side. So this is how you create a multiple bone chain with stretchy bones and control objects.